Hey there folks, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. Well, we all knew this was coming. We knew the Christmas music wouldn't last. We knew that the charts would reset with an audible thud and a huge chunk of Travis Scott's JACKBOYS thing. It would comprise a mini album bomb of its own, and yet what's kind of frustrating is that none of this is out of the ordinary or exceptional. It's not surprising, it's not eventful, it's just a lot of work on my part. Well, might as well get into what our top 10 now looks like, and shocker, Circles by Post Malone is back at number 1, although not comfortably. Yeah, dominant on the radio, and the sales are great, but streaming isn't, and none of the margins are robust enough to be protected. And in a similar camp, we got Memories by Maroon 5 reviving to number 2, with even better sales, but it lags on the radio, and has far worse streaming, which might be the most scathing indictment of its industry-backed popularity to date. But where things have gotten a little interesting is our number 3, breaking into the top 10 for the first time, The Box by Roddy Ricch. And it's a streaming monster. There's no significant radio or sales push, which means that it's got the sort of impressive groundswell that I have not seen in some time. And given that it's one of the better songs from his debut album, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm significantly less okay with Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi reviving to number 4, but with the sales slightly slipping and the radio seeming to peak, I have to hope it's going to be slowing down soon. Then we got Roxanne by Arizona Zervis getting a slight boost to number 5. And I'll admit I'm not sure about this one, as it's consistently strong in all channels, especially streaming, but that radio and sales traction seems kind of uneven. Then we got Good As Hell by Lizzo rebounding to number 6, no surprise given the radio and sales, although not really a lot of streaming. But what interests me a lot more is the long overdue Dance Monkey by Tones and I hitting number 7. It's really damn nice when a song that I actually predicted to be a hit, and a great one at that, actually picks up real traction on all channels, and it's still got momentum. Then we got Highest in the Room by Travis Scott surging up to number 8, no surprise given the album bomb compensating for radio that's in mid-collapse, and 10,000 Hours by Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber at number 9, which again was riding radio and sales but seems a little bit inconsistent in all that traction. Then finally, gearing up for her album that's going to be coming soon, we got Lose You to Love Me by Selena Gomez back in the top 10, although that radio traction it's got, it looks pretty questionable. Now, normally we would cover a lot of our losers and dropouts, but here's the problem. The only one in the latter category is Let Me Know I Wonder Why by the late Juice WRLD at number 94, with all our dropouts basically being every single Christmas song. Now, this means it makes more sense to focus on our returns and our gains, so let's start with the former, and okay, we got 15 of them. Let's just rattle them off. From the bottom, China by Annual AA, Daddy Yankee, Karol G, Ozuna, and J Balvin at number 98. Heartless by Thomas Wesley, aka Diplo, and Morgan Wallen at 97. Loco Contigo by DJ Snake, J Balvin, and Tyga at 95. And Jerry Sprunger by Tory Lanez and T-Pain at 93. Then we got a couple country songs. Homecoming Queen by Kelsey Ballerini at 87. What She Wants Tonight by Luke Bryan at 86. And We Back by Jason Aldean living up to its title at 77. Then we got a surge of songs connected to DaBaby, with TOUVEZ featuring Lil Baby and Moneybagg Yo at number 71. Baby with Lil Baby at 47. And Suge at 43. Then we get the short Khalid section with Beautiful People with Ed Sheeran at 42 and Talk at 40. And then to cap off with mediocrity, we got I Don't Care by Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber at 28, and both Sucker and Only Human by the Jonas Brothers back at 29 and 25 respectively. Joy. Now the problem for me here is that nearly half the Hot 100 picked up gains this week. 46 songs. And this is the big reason why the holiday season annoys me as somebody who tracks the charts. The reset to equilibrium overwhelms everything and shows deceptive momentum where none might actually exist. But again, let's start from the bottom. Enemies by Post Malone and DaBaby at 85. Best on Earth by Russ and Bia at 81. Easy by Danny Lee and Chris Brown at 79. And Tusa by Karol G and Nicki Minaj at 76. Moving away from the collabs, we got Nice to Meet Ya by Niall Horan up to 75. Nice recovery. Slide by Her featuring YG at 73 off the debut. And back to the collabs with South the Border by Ed Sheeran featuring Camila Cabello and Cardi B at 72 off the return. Next is Leave 'Em Alone by Leighton Green, Lil Baby, City City Girls and P&B Rock at 67. Ritmo, Bad Boys for Life by Black Eyed Peas and J Balvin at 66. You Can Flop Anytime. Homesick by Kane Brown at 64. And Take What You Want by Post Malone featuring Travis Scott and Ozzy Osbourne. Now, you could have made this a hit at any time, Post Malone. Then we got Remember You Young by Thomas Rhett at 61. Kinfolks by Sam Hunt at 60. Gross. And thankfully, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd up to 59. Apparently that pop radio push is coming, thank God. Next is Heartache Medication by John Party at 58. Vibes by DeBatey at 57. Into the Unknown by Idina Menzel and Aurora at 55. Playing Games by Summer Walker at 54. And Heat by Chris Brown featuring Gunna at 53. Then we got Riding Roads by Dustin Lynch at 51. My Oh My by Camila Cabello featuring DaBaby at 50. You know you don't have to make this a hit either, right? What If I Never Get Over You by Lady Antebellum at 49. And a big rebound for No Idea by Don Toliver up to 46, likely tied into the JACKBOYS boosting name recognition. Then after Juicy by Doja Cat and Tyga at 45, we get a particularly morbid set with Suicidal by YNW Melly at 41, On Chill by Wale featuring Jeremiah at 39, Graveyard by Halsey at 37, and The Bones by Maren Morris at 36. Then a few rebounds for Adore You by Harry Styles at 35 and Lover by Taylor Swift at 34, which I'm gonna choose to see as ironic. And then after Ransom by Lil Tech at 33, we've got Fucking Hot Girl Bummer by Black Bear at 32. Look, I'm fairly certain enabling Black Bear is bad for culture as a whole in 2020. We can stop anytime. Then from there we get another bunch of rebounds. Falling by Trevor Daniel back at 31. Even Though I'm Leaving by Luke Combs at 30. Whoa by Lil Baby at 27. And One Man Band by Old Dominion at 26. Before the modest recovery of Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish at 23. And a blitz to the last ones here. Heartless by The Weeknd at 20. Trampoline by Shade at 19. Truth Hurts by Lizzo at 18. Panini and Old Town Road by Lil Nas X at 17 and 15 respectively. And as we've already talked about the top 10 gains, we end off with Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello at 11. Yes, it's still that high. But that's not all, folks. We got a solid 12 new arrivals here. And it's not just pure album bomb either, so let's start off with number 100, July by Noah Cyrus featuring Leon Bridges.
Find someone that loves you better than I do, darling, I know.
You know it's a bad sign surrounding your hype when the first thing I hear about this song is that the single art was stolen from the actual artist. Charming. But putting that aside, did it strike anyone else as kind of odd that Noah Cyrus is working with the soul singer Leon Bridges at all? I know she struggled to assemble an artistic identity, but that's another odd collaboration for her in a career of odd collaborations, apparently being framed as her lead-off single for her debut album, and man, that was a big mistake, because Leon Bridges, he's in a different ballpark when it comes to expressive charisma and vocal character than Noah Cyrus's very flat nasal delivery, especially when the mix is just acoustic strumming and some whistles. And that's kind of awkward given the framing of the song. Two people who hurt each other, they're neglectful in the relationship, but won't leave because neither will give the other permission? I don't know, there's an indecisive frailty that might be relatable, but doesn't really match with the lukewarm atmosphere and the cushion of crooning backing vocals, which serves to diminish some of the intimacy you need to emphasize all the loneliness and alienation, any sort of pathos at all. Overall though, not bad per se, but it does kind of fall flat for me. Next, number 99, Slow Dance in a Parking Lot by Jordan Davis.
With you, spinning you around by the Walmart sign.
You know, Nashville, you don't have to keep trying to make Jordan Davis a thing. You've been trying for a couple of years now and it hasn't worked. You can stop. Especially with this title, it makes me think immediately of Slow Dancing in the Dark by Joji, which is a much better song. And again, this is a push of pure AstroTurf. And considering the song has been out for a couple of years now, that's kind of a problem. And yet what's exasperating is that it's for all the same problems as before. Same cheap skittering drum machines and whooshing synths clumsily blended with the palpable non-charisma of Jordan Davis, which if I'm being charitable seems to be trying to elevate the possibly cute image of slow dancing in a Walmart parking lot late at night. I mean, it's not a bad premise for a modern country song. If I wasn't convinced it'd become a cheap advertisement in record time for Walmart, and the production didn't sound so canned and formless. So yeah, once again, it's not good, no surprises, and the fact that anyone is still pushing this guy, it's questionable in the extreme. Next, number 90, I Wish Grandpas Never Die by Riley Green.
and I wish grandpas never died.
So I actually first heard this song a couple weeks back when I was driving to visit extended family, and I remember thinking that Riley Green was vaguely passable when I covered him in March of last year, so I tried to go in with an open mind. And you know what, for Riley Green, this is absolutely an improvement across the board. Now granted, it's hard for me to hear a song like this and think, oh, okay, someone really wants to be chasing Luke Combs' fire right now. But you know what, the acoustic foundation, the live drums, the pedal steel, the richer guitars, it does set himself closer to a likable, mainstream country sound, especially with the touches of organ and Riley Green's hangdog delivery. And I'll give him credit for putting some money where his mouth is for wishing country music was actually on country radio, cheap way to get indie support, but then he actually followed through with the detail of the song. But let's be real, just because texturally the song gets a lot right and has a lot of lyrical detail, doesn't mean that structurally isn't just an extended checklist, just like so many other songs on the radio that Riley Green would scold if it was in bro country. And that does leave me a little bit cold as a whole. That being said, it is a good song, and I think Riley Green's got potential. I just want to see more follow through. Number 88, More Hearts Than Mine by Ingrid Andress.
Guess I better warn ya, she falls in love a little faster than I do.
So okay, as much as I've ranted about Nashville radio not playing women, I'm always fascinated when the industry does seem to have an artist ready to go with her first ever single too, which takes us to Ingrid Andress, who co-wrote and produced this, and yeah, I kinda like it. The blend of piano and pedal steel with the guitars has some decent swell, even if the percussion feels a little bit heavy for this sort of song. And Ingrid Andress has a likable, husky delivery that complements this style of writing pretty well. And I like the lyrical conceit and detail of the song, where she highlights that if she takes home someone to meet her family and her hometown friends, that is a bigger commitment, and he better be ready for it. Honestly, to the point where it seems like the family might take it harder than she will, which adds a different dimension to the song that I'm not sure was intended to sound as forbidding as it does. It places the weight of the emotion in an odd place, which I think holds this back from being a great song, but it is a promising start. Let's see if it actually leads to traction on radio. That's gonna be the big test. Number 84, Make Me Want To by Jimmie Allen.
Yeah, what's your favorite song? If you're thinking what I'm thinking, we ain't gonna be in this bar too long.
Now here's an artist that I'm pleasantly surprised is getting more attention, especially as on his first song he struck the warm, organic ground between neo-traditional and pop country that can work pretty well, even if the title of this song reminds me way too much of Make Me Wanna by Thomas Rhett. And yet that's not a bad comparison, because this is a considerable step back from the organic warmth of his breakthrough for an incredibly thin drum machine, weedy pickups, an oversold hook, and the sort of utterly forgettable lyrical hookup. Another song from a few years ago that's only getting traction now, and while I like the guitar work a lot better compared to Jordan Davis, the percussion on this just kills it for me. I hate to say it, but as much as I have to hope that Jimmie Allen swivels away from this, and fast, it's not good. It's probably gonna get traction, and even making pop country, he can do better than this. Number 74, I Hope by Gabby Barrett.
Hope you know she's the one by the end of the night. I hope you never ever felt more free.
So apparently the first half of these arrivals are all going to be country, but Gabby Barrett's story is a little bit different. She finished third on the 2018 season of American Idol, she wrote this song independently, she came back to the show in 2019 to perform it, and she snagged a record deal off of it. And it's a different sort of pivot than you normally get with this sort of reality show lead-off single, taking a much darker approach to her ex, where she wishes that his next relationship happens, and then the new girl cheats on him just like he did on Barrett. So okay, this is an interesting lyrical pivot, I like the idea, but man, everything else about this song just does not work at all. The guitars sound drowned out, the percussion is programmed and clunky, and I'm not just talking about that snap beat. There's all sorts of swooshing effects that are blended horribly, and who the hell thought it was a good idea to compress an American Idol finalist vocals into tinny mush with no dynamic range? I know that Ross Copperman's stock as a producer has been haphazard in recent years, but this is some of his worst work in a long time. If you want to make this song sound ugly, you do it with minor keys and distortion in the melody, not production that just sounds this sloppy. It's really unpleasant. So yeah, this had the potential to be decent, but as an introduction to Barrett, I'm sorry. Not a good sign. Number 70, High Fashion by Roddy Ricch featuring Mustard.
Go your G-Wagon,
or the Rover. I put some ice on you cause you got a cold heart.
Okay, so we're gonna go full trap for the rest of our new arrivals, and let's kick it off with a leftover song from Roddy Ricch's debut that missed the album bomb a couple weeks back, this time with Mustard. And I guess it's passable. Again, the lyrics are pretty empty flexing, with Roddy Ricch buying his girl lots of brand names and saying that he's taking her soul when she's riding. But I think what irks me more is how he's stretching any sort of coherent rhymes and how it feels like his flow will pile up in awkward positions, especially when Mustard's production is otherwise pretty rhythmic off the piano and the pretty standard snap beat. I guess if we're looking for the sort of easy follow-up to the box with some ease of crossover on the radio, I can see this doing well, but I'm still waiting for Roddy Ricch to really win me over, and this, yeah, sorry, not quite there. Number 69, GATTI by JACKBOYS, Pop Smoke, and Travis Scott.
Yeah, let me see some.
Okay, let's blow through these JACKBOYS cuts pretty quickly, this being the closing track between Pop Smoke and Travis. And am I the only one not remotely impressed at all by Pop Smoke here, who basically sounds like Rick Ross with an even wheezier voice and a worse flow off the fizzy trap hi-hats, the contorting synths, and awkwardly clumsy attempts at opulence in the melody? It's not like any of his gangsta flexing is unique or intimidating here either. It really just feels painfully basic in its attempts to rhyme. It doesn't sound all that good. And when Travis Scott tries to wrench things back to a more stable groove and melody, he tries to cram in a bridge before the final hook to get hyped up, and it just feels not just empty, but clunky as all hell. In other words, no, it's pretty bad. So let's move on to number 56, What to Do by JACKBOYS featuring Don Toliver. Travis and Don Toliver show up, the latter sounding really dazed and faded off a pretty rickety trap skitter with little melody outside of the gurgling swells of synth and strings, which I'll actually admit kind of sound pretty cool in a cavernous sort of way. And then they sing rap about how they're still fucked up, as if that wasn't blatantly obvious, especially by the muddy ending bridge as we get a blown out guitar solo deeper in the mix. In other words, I could probably get behind the production here, but everyone involved is just shambling around incoherently trying to make confused swipes at women with some vague threats. None of this is paid off all that well. I mean, imagine what The Weeknd could have done with this production, and then tell me that the JACKBOYS did all they could. That's all I'm saying. Number 52, Had Enough by Don Toliver featuring Quavo and OPSET.
Stay a while.
So I guess since Travis Scott isn't here, it's not an official JACKBOYS song, even though it's on the project, and a sample of Summer from the Carters back in 2018 with an hazy attempt at being soulful. Well, that might be the biggest problem, that we're relying on Don Toliver to try and sell this when he's about to pass out as he croons that this girl might have had enough of him. But the bizarre thing with both him, OPSET, and Quavo is that neither he nor the other two make a credible play to win anybody back, just complaining about the stress with the knowledge that because of all their money, the girls are gonna come back anyway, which gives this song this weird complacent vibe that doesn't really resonate, especially with Quavo's verse that barely even feels finished. So yeah, this JACKBOYS project is feeling all the more disposable, so let's go on to number 48, Gang Gang by JACKBOYS and Sheck West. Am I the only one who thinks it's really lazy to call this Gang Gang? It's not like the Schoolboy Q or Migos songs with the exact same title that dropped within the past couple of years don't exist here, Travis. And it's not like the song is doing much to differentiate itself either, with a clunky repetition, the atonal trap clunk of the production, and then giving the majority of the track to Sheck West lazily slurring his way through gang flexing. Hell, I was more impressed by Luxury Tax delivering a mostly stable, if kind of shallow verse. It was low-key and it wasn't bothering to be swamped out by melody, but it was at least kind of coherent. But more than ever, the biggest impression I get is that the JACKBOYS, they're playing in posse cut territory. In other words, shallow, vacant, and lazy pile-ups that aren't worth remembering or that fun. I'd pass. And finally, number 38, Out West by JACKBOYS featuring Young Thug.
Take it out west. I just put a drum on a no-kill tick.
So here's a question, and it's the same one I had for Revenge of the Dreamers 3 last year. If you're gonna try and drive this JACKBOYS brand, why do you keep adding a lot of guest stars to further dilute an already shaky and underwhelming formula? Because this time we got Young Thug and Travis Scott over a wiry flute with some really hideous chipmunk overdubs, and this might be some of Young Thug's most flagrant content to date, detailing in explicit detail how your girl is blowing him and how she's got a fire hydrant pussy. And after the utterly forgettable verse from Travis Scott, we're stuck with an admittedly okay groove, but nothing between the melody and content that I ever want to hear again. Instead, it just sounds really cheap and ugly and a sign of rampant laziness from everyone involved, including Thugger. In other words, Out West is comfortably the worst of the week. God, those chipmunk effects did not blend well. With dishonorable mention going to JACKBOYS again, as well with Pop Smoke on GATTI. And for the best, look, I didn't just want to give it to the country songs. I wanted there to have some hope there'd be some quality trap here, but More Hearts Than Mine by Ingrid Andress. It's getting the best with I Wish Grandpa's Never Died by Riley Green getting honorable mention. You can at least tell there was a bit more effort there than the rest of this JACKBOYS mess. Let's just hope it's all gone by next week, because I really don't see it having a lot of staying power. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.